Emily knew something was off the moment she left her apartment. The street felt too quiet. A chill ran down her spine as she walked toward the bus stop. She clutched her bag tighter. Was she being paranoid? Or was someone watching her? Then, a black SUV turned the corner. The windows were tinted. It slowed down. Emily's pulse skyrocketed. She picked up her pace. The SUV matched her speed. Then, in a flash, the back door swung open. A masked man lunged out. Emily screamed. She turned, bolting down the sidewalk. Her breath came in sharp gasps as she ran, adrenaline surging through her veins. Footsteps pounded behind her. She needed to find a crowd, fast. Just as the man's fingers grazed her shoulder, a deafening roar filled the street. A sleek black Aston Martin screeched to a halt between them. The car door flung open. Jonathan Sterling stepped out, his eyes burning with fury. "Touch her," he said, his voice dangerously low, "and you won't live to regret it." The masked man froze. A tense silence hung in the air. Then, tires screeched. The black SUV sped off. Emily collapsed to her knees, her body shaking. Jonathan was beside her in an instant. "You're safe," he murmured, pulling her into his arms. But Emily knew, as long as Veronica was out there, she was far from safe. Veronica sat in the dimly lit lounge of her penthouse, her manicured nails tapping against the glass of whiskey in her hand. Her phone buzzed again. Another client cancelling. Another brand cutting ties. Her reputation was in shambles. Jonathan Sterling had turned the entire city against her overnight. She needed to hit back. Hard. Taking a deep breath, she dialed a number. It rang twice before a gruff voice answered. "You're calling me? After all this time?" "I need a favor," Veronica said, her voice steady but urgent. The man on the other end scoffed. "Last time we spoke, you told me to rot in hell." Veronica gritted her teeth. "And yet, here I am, willing to pay you whatever it takes." There was a pause. Then, "I'm listening." Veronica's grip on the phone tightened. "I need someone scared. I need them to disappear." She could almost hear the smirk in his voice. "Who's the target?" Veronica exhaled. Emily Carter. The scandal exploded across social media. People who had initially believed the video now turned on Veronica. So she was behind it? Wow, what a snake. Imagine being this petty just because you got kicked out of a restaurant. She really tried to ruin an innocent woman's life. Disgusting. Veronica's name was trending for all the wrong reasons. But the worst part? Jonathan didn't just expose her, he destroyed her reputation. One by one, brands that had worked with her cut ties. Clients cancelled their deals. Even her father, a powerful businessman himself, sent her a cold message. "You've embarrassed the family. Fix this." Now Veronica's perfect world was falling apart, and she knew exactly who was responsible. Jonathan Sterling. And that waitress. Veronica wasn't done yet. She was going to make them pay. Veronica sipped her morning latte, scrolling through her phone with satisfaction. The video had gone viral. Emily was suspended. Jonathan had no choice but to distance himself from a scandal like this. Everything was going exactly as planned. Her phone buzzed with a new message. "Unknown number. Enjoying your victory?" She frowned. Who the hell? Before she could reply, a link appeared. She clicked it and froze. A private email thread between her and the hacker she hired was staring back at her. Their entire conversation exposed. Veronica's heart pounded. Before she could react, another message popped up. "Unknown number. Check the news in 321." She switched to the news app, and her blood ran cold. Breaking billionaire Jonathan Sterling exposes fake scandal set up by Veronica Lancaster. Below the headline was a screenshot of her emails. Veronica's hands trembled. How? How did he get this? Then another message. Unknown number. You wanted war, Veronica. Now you have one. Veronica's stomach dropped. Jonathan Sterling had just declared war. Jonathan wasted no time. Within the hour, his tech expert, Lucas, sent over a full report on the video. It's been doctored, Lucas confirmed over the phone. The original footage was likely pulled from the restaurant's security cameras, but someone manipulated it to make it look like Emily was stealing. Emily's stomach twisted. How could they even access the footage? Lucas hesitated. I traced the upload back to a private server, but it was routed through multiple fake accounts. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. Jonathan clenched his jaw. Can you crack it? Lucas let out a short chuckle. Give me another hour. Jonathan ended the call and turned to Emily. We'll get to the bottom of this. She nodded, but anxiety still gnawed at her. Even if we prove the video is fake, will that be enough? What if people still believe it? Jonathan leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. Then, after a moment, his lips curled into a smirk. Oh, trust me. When I'm done, no one will ever believe a word Veronica Lancaster says again. Emily's breath caught. She didn't doubt him. Emily sat in the office, her hands trembling. She had pleaded with Mark to believe her, but the restaurant had a strict policy. Until this was sorted out, she was suspended. Just as she was about to break down, the door swung open. Jonathan Sterling walked in. His jaw was tight, his expression unreadable as he sat across from her. Tell me everything, he said. Emily swallowed hard. Sir, I didn't do this, I swear. I don't know who made that video, but it's fake. Jonathan studied her carefully. Then, without a word, he pulled out his own phone and dialed a number. Lucas, I need you to analyze a video for tampering. Find out who uploaded it and where it originated from. I want answers in an hour. Emily blinked. You believe me? Jonathan gave her a firm nod. I've seen people like Veronica play these games before. She wants revenge. His eyes darkened. But she picked the wrong person to mess with. Emily exhaled, relief washing over her. But Jonathan wasn't done. He leaned forward, his voice low and dangerous. I don't just want to clear your name, Emily. I want to bury Veronica Lancaster. Emily's eyes widened. This was war. The next morning, Emily arrived at the restaurant early, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. Last night had been intense, but for once, she wasn't the one who had to suffer through a customer's cruelty. Someone had stood up for her. Jonathan Sterling had stood up for her. As she tied her apron, she felt a newfound sense of confidence. Maybe things were finally turning around. But that feeling didn't last long. An hour into her shift, the restaurant's assistant manager, Mark, stormed up to her with a grim expression. Emily, we need to talk. Now. She frowned. Is something wrong? Mark lowered his voice. You tell me. He held up his phone, playing a video. Emily's stomach dropped. On the screen, she saw herself standing near a table, seemingly slipping something into a customer's purse. The video was grainy, but the implication was clear. The voiceover was even worse. Caught on camera. Waitress at high-end restaurant stealing from customers. Emily's breath hitched. That's not... Mark, that's not real. I would never steal. Mark looked conflicted. The video is spreading fast. Someone leaked it to social media. Panic clawed at Emily's chest. This had to be a mistake. But deep down, she knew. This wasn't a coincidence. This was Veronica. Veronica stormed out of the restaurant, her designer heels clicking sharply against the pavement. Her hands clenched around the handle of her luxury handbag as rage bubbled inside her. How dare Jonathan humiliate her like that? In front of everyone? Over a waitress? This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. She yanked out her phone and dialed a number. After a few rings, a smooth male voice answered. Veronica, to what do I owe the pleasure? It's time to remind Jonathan Sterling who he's dealing with, she hissed. I want that waitress gone! A low chuckle came from the other end. Consider it done. Veronica's face paled as she recognized the man standing before her. Jonathan Sterling wasn't just the owner of this high-end restaurant. He was one of the most influential businessmen in the city. And more importantly, he was someone she needed on her side. She forced a smile, straightening her designer blouse as if to compose herself. Oh, Jonathan, I didn't realize this was your restaurant. Jonathan's sharp gaze shifted between Veronica and Emily. His expression remained unreadable, but the coldness in his eyes made Emily's heart race. Was she in trouble? I was just about to address the unacceptable service here. Veronica continued, flipping her blonde hair over her shoulder. This waitress has been unbelievably rude and incompetent. I mean, if she can't handle a simple order, maybe she shouldn't be working in an establishment like this. Emily's stomach twisted. She wanted to defend herself, but she knew speaking back to an elite customer could cost her job. Jonathan folded his arms. Is that so? Absolutely, Veronica said, exuding confidence again. I just think you deserve better staff, someone more qualified to work in an establishment of this caliber. Jonathan turned to Emily, his expression softening. Is this true? Were you rude to her? Emily hesitated, but she refused to let herself be painted as the villain. She straightened her shoulders. I only tried to serve her to the best of my ability, sir. Jonathan nodded thoughtfully before his piercing gaze landed back on Veronica. Interesting. Because I heard everything from the moment I walked in. The color drained from Veronica's face. Jonathan's voice dropped an octave, calm but ice cold. And from what I witnessed, the only rude person here is you. Gasps rippled through the nearby tables. Veronica's mouth fell open, her confidence cracking. Jonathan, you must be mistaken. I was simply… No. He cut her off. I don't tolerate customers belittling my employees, and I certainly don't tolerate liars. Emily's breath caught in her throat. No one had ever stood up for her like this. Jonathan stepped closer to Veronica, his presence overpowering. Tell me, Veronica, he said, his tone dripping with controlled anger. Would you treat your employees this way? She let out a nervous chuckle. Well, that's different. It's not different, Jonathan said flatly. You talk about qualifications, but let's be real. Emily has more class than you ever will. The room went silent. Veronica, humiliated and fuming, could feel every pair of eyes burning into her. Then Jonathan delivered the final blow. If you can't respect my staff, then I don't want your business here. You can leave. Veronica's face twisted in shock. You're kicking me out? Jonathan didn't waver. You're lucky I'm not banning you permanently. Emily couldn't believe what she was witnessing. Did one of the most powerful businessmen in the city just stand up for her against someone like Veronica? Veronica huffed, gathering her purse, her hands trembling with rage. Fine, but don't think this is over, Jonathan. With one last glare at Emily, she turned on her heels and stormed out of the restaurant. Jonathan exhaled, then turned to Emily. Are you all right? Emily nodded, still in shock. I think so. Thank you, sir. A small smile tugged at the corner of Jonathan's lips. You deserve respect. Don't ever let people like her make you feel otherwise. Emily felt an unexpected warmth in her chest. But little did she know, this wasn't the end of her encounter with Veronica Lancaster. It was only the beginning. I asked for sparkling water, not this tap water garbage. The shrill voice of Veronica Lancaster, a wealthy socialite known for her entitled attitude, cut through the elegant ambiance of the upscale restaurant. Emily Carter, a young waitress working double shifts to pay for her college tuition, stood frozen for a moment, gripping the tray tighter in her hands. She had dealt with difficult customers before, but Veronica was in a league of her own. "I'm so sorry, Mom," Emily said, keeping her voice calm and professional. "I can bring you a fresh bottle of sparkling water right away." Veronica scoffed loudly, making sure everyone in the restaurant heard her discontent. "Oh, so now you listen. Maybe if you weren't so lazy, you'd get my order right the first time." A few customers turned to glance at the commotion, some shaking their heads at Veronica's rudeness, while others simply ignored it. Emily felt her cheeks heat up with embarrassment, but she swallowed the lump in her throat. "I'll fix it right away, Mom." But before she could walk away, Veronica snapped her fingers, stopping her in her tracks. "You know what? Never mind. I deserve better service than this. Let me talk to your manager. Maybe he can hire staff that isn't incompetent." Emily's heart pounded. She needed this job. She couldn't afford to lose it over some rich woman's tantrum. And just as the humiliation reached its peak, a deep, authoritative voice echoed through the restaurant. "Is there a problem here?" Everyone turned toward the entrance. Standing there, dressed in a crisp designer suit, was Jonathan Sterling, the owner of the restaurant and Veronica's own business partner. Veronica's smug expression faltered for the first time.